Yeah, and Elam did stop the trees on their landscape plan, just in all, which I think was the discussion that we were having at the time, which was the Vilmios and the Cassia folks were not in agreement necessarily on who's paying for what piece of that landscaping.
Did we have a penalty on that original CUP like we do with other ones, so we could charge the landowner and just put the trees in ourselves?
Well, yeah, we do, but the CUP, we do. So the CUP was issued to the Iron Exchange,
Yep.
but it runs with the land, so
Mhm.
it benefits the veal mills, but it's not, yeah.
So if we wanted to enforce it, we wouldn't be forcing it against Iron Exchange, we would be enforcing it against the landowner.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did have a penalty in that last one.
So, same where it's, what is it, 400?
Yeah.
So,
So maybe we keep the condition in, but make it clear that, you know, we have the conversation with the landowner and look to enforce the CUP on the landowner.
and that's really how it would work,
Mhm,
because
yeah.
it would get assessed if you didn't pay it, yeah.
And I mean, if it's been a year, I think it's time to
Mhm.
send a letter, have a conversation
Yeah.
before we lose a whole nother season as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, in our resolution that was granted for this talks about the property owner, not the tenant.
Okay, good. Well, now that that's clear as mud.
So where does that leave me?
Well, so the condition-
Sounds like
It's
that's
still
a-
gonna
We won't
stay,
find you.
it's still gonna stay in there because they're tied together with the CUP, so we need to leave it in there. But it's,
But it's
Property
enforced
owner.
against the
So-
landowner.
Oh, okay, so how does that work for my project?
So if he
Do I
doesn't,
go ahead with it, and then what if he doesn't do anything?
Then we can enforce against him. We can fine him for not complying with it.
So
if it passes tonight, then
if it
you-
passes, I can just forget about that piece, right? Because my project can go ahead as planned.
It might not be bad to mention it every month when you're paying your rent, or to remind him, but
Yeah, I mean, if it's been a year, does he, well, I'll let you guys have that discussion.
a year is nothing in city business.
Well, yeah, but when everything was done, you would think
Yeah.
that you'd do it right away, but I don't know.
all right.
How's that sign coming?
So, okay, I guess I'll, so it's gonna be tied to it.
But it's tied to the property, and so it's tied to the property owner.
Well, what's kind of weird is, I think on our release, I mean, it only had like that building, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're leasing. And then he splits up the parking lot by whatever, So, but I don't know, it's tied to our conditional use, so.
All right, council, do you have any other questions for staff or for Mr. Murley, the business owner? So Mark, do we need to, because this is a resolution approving the CUP, in the site plan, do we need to change any?
So we would
Do you wanna-
remove 2D, which is the ornamental fence. And we would add the sentence that I noted to 4A, stating that the pergola is permitted, subject to applicable permits.
All right.
And everything else would stay the same. So if the council's okay with revising the resolution, so we would just eliminate 2D and we would add a sentence to 4A, I think then you're covered.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So I am looking for a motion to approve the revised resolution approving a conditional use permit and site plan review amendment to allow an expansion to the outdoor area associated with the brew pub on the property located at 1500 Howard Avenue.
So
Uh,
moved.
Moved by Cahill,
I'll second that
second by Fay.
with noted changes.
Yep,
Mhm.
with removing 2D, the fencing, and adding the sentencing regarding 4A, the pergola. Any further discussion or questions? All right, this is a resolution, so it'll be done by roll call.
DeLuca?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Moskowski?
Aye.
Fay?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much, everyone, for working through that and all the details, and thank you, Mr. Murley, for being here tonight. Next item of business is another conditional use permit. This one's an amendment for Kendall Communications, 5115 Industrial Avenue, and I will turn that over to Mark. or
I
Clarissa.
will do that, thank you.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor, Council, this item also came before Planning Commission. At the last Planning Commission meeting, I held a public hearing. This is a request for a conditional use permit for co-location of wireless antennas on the existing tower at 5115 Industrial Boulevard. As the council, I believe, is aware, there's 2 towers located on the subject property. And over the years, we've amended various CUPs associated with each bank of antennas on the subject sites. Most often, we have been amending the CUPs associated with the antennas on the other tower, not the one that we're talking about tonight. So there is what I would call an east tower and a west tower. This is the east tower. It's the shorter of the 2 towers that we're talking about. There's only 1 bank of antennas on this tower. Then there's the west tower, which is right next to this one. There's 3 banks of antennas on that tower. And so we got a request to add a new set of antennas to that tower. So it'd be a co-location on that tower, so it would require a new conditional use permit. That property is zoned industrial. It's guided by the comprehensive plan as industrial. It's approximately 4.5 acres in overall size. You can see the pink box on the screen, or the box that's up there, maybe. Let's see here. You can't see pink in this light. But there we go. So you can see where my cursor is. There's this site right here with this tower. You can see the shadow of the tower kind of going up, and then there's another site just to the west of that. So it's that eastern one. And so what this applicant would like to do is install 3 new antennas at a height of approximately 168 feet. The overall height of the tower is 180 feet, and there's a existing bank at 177. These would be cellular towers. As was noted at the Planning Commission meeting, Dish Network, it has the residual of Sprint, I think, basically, and they are expanding their wireless 5G services for cellular. So it's not Dish as in Dish TV, it's Dish as in Dish Cellular, which is a thing that is in the works or on its way, or maybe it's already out there and I haven't seen it. But you can see the bank on the screen, the top, the pink row is existing, the blue right below it is the proposed. There's questions asked at the Planning Commission about interference with signals. The applicant noted that there is no frequency interference and that the location of these is meets all applicable requirements, FCC requirements, and so on and so forth. They did provide the city with a structural analysis of the tower showing that this tower can support the proposed antennas in the location shown. And they did show that there will be new ground equipment that will be installed inside of the existing fence area at the base of that tower. Planning Commission talked about it, ultimately said that that area is very suitable for these 2 towers. It's a very industrial area. The base of the tower is very industrial by nature. It's hidden. There really is very little impact as it relates to the lower part of the base. And given the number of antennas already on the existing tower adjacent to this and this tower, they felt that it's a good location to co-locate, and it met the criteria for granting a conditional use permit, ultimately recommended approval. There was no comments made at the public hearing by anybody in the public, and the city has not received any other comments, written or verbal, prior to the meeting tonight. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. The applicant was at planning. He came up from Chicago for that meeting, but he is not here tonight, so.
All right. Thank you for that recap and the history. With that, I'm looking for a motion to approve a resolution approving a conditional use permit allowing co-location of the new wireless antennas and associated equipment to be located on the existing cellular tower located at 5115 Industrial Street.
So moved.
Moved by Cahill.
Second?
Second by Fay. Any
Uh,
further discussion or
A
questions?
question, what's in it for the city for this? Are they gonna be renting?
It's on
Are we gonna
private.
get anything from it?
It's on private property, so the property owner will get something from it. But I shouldn't say that. I don't know that for certain. It depends how he has his lease set up. Sometimes those towers, they get a base lease regardless of the number of co-locators. Sometimes they get a lease plus, where if there's more people that co-locate, then they get additional revenue. But for the city, no, it's a private tower location.
As long as we're Q&A, there was a time when, and we put some sticks to it, that these tower owners or lessors were putting up equipment without seeking conditional uses and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Have they been following the rules over the course of the past several years? And I
Yeah.
think they have to give us notice that they're doing maintenance.
Yeah. So
Have they been following?
Yeah, it's a
rules?
good question, and you were a part of that conversation
Yeah.
where we had a conditional use permit come in. This was in, I think, 2016-15, and it was the first one we had seen in probably 10 years by record. And what we noted is we had, on the original CUP that was issued for that other tower, the western tower, they had 12 antennas that were approved, and I think we counted 36 or
Yes.
38. And so somehow they went from 12 to 38 with no other city approvals. What we did, and they don't like it, and you'll actually probably hear that next month because we have another one on that eastern tower that's doing, or that western tower. What we did is we wrote an administrative clause, and you see it in condition 2C, that the city can administratively approve replacement of existing antennas as long as the size and location is consistent with the existing, no expansion or increase in size of antennas can occur. So we got one 2 months ago, and they fight because the FCC is fairly strong in its rules on cellular communications, and they give a lot of leeway to the communications company, which is fine. Cities still have the right to regulate their own zoning and utilize their own zoning. And so what we say is if you increase the size of the antennas, that constitutes a revision to the CUP. Part of why I am a stickler on it is so that we don't end up with an approval that we made for 3 different banks of antennas that when we originally approved them were 32 inches tall by 21 inches wide. The antennas that are coming in on this new one are going from 32 or 34 to 96. So you're taking a 2.5-foot antenna and you're making it an 8-foot antenna. Well, I just want that documented, and I think people that care ought to have an opportunity to care if they do, right? And so the cellular companies like the Verizon, I think it's Verizon, right? No, is Verizon coming in next? Or T-Mobile, whichever one. They're not happy, they get involved and they're like, send us the original resolution, send us the original plan. Did it really say we couldn't do that? They want to be able to just swap them out at all costs, no matter what, without any regulation of the city. They just want to come in and say, hey, we're taking 3 antennas and we're putting 3 new ones on. And we look at the plans. We require them to give us the plans, and I require them to tell me what's the size of the existing, what's the size of the
Well, there's
proposed.
fees associated with that too.
Well, and you guys get fees then to cover the cost of reviewing, but I also like the paper trail it creates for the city so we don't go from 12 to 36. I like that we're saying, there's a public process, we document it in a resolution, and there's a site plan that all gets recorded against a property, so someday somebody can look at it and say, yep, I see where they went from 2.5 feet to 18 feet or whatever the heck they're gonna go to next, because that technology just keeps changing, so, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, it is a resolution. It will be done by roll call.
Cahill?
Aye.
DeLuca?
Aye.
Fay?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Moskowski?
Aye. The resolution passes 5-0. All right. The next item of business this evening is an ordinance amending parking regulations, and I will turn this over to Clarissa.
Thank you, Mayor. We had just a short list of additional no parking regulations that staff is requesting be added to the city code. The one is on Boundary, so Boundary Avenue on the east is already marked no parking. We would like to add the west side so that we can enforce the sort of overactive business parking that is taking place there. And then the other section is Bud Avenue north of Highway 12, and that is so that the PD doesn't need to post every time that there's a large event at the park. So we just asking that Bud Avenue north of Highway 12 be permanently marked no parking.
All right. Any questions for staff?
Are we prepared to enforce this then when it comes?
I am. I'll talk to Gary.
Okay, so you've talked to Gary.
Well, Gary's aware of the Bud. I might have to nudge them a little bit to make sure that Boundary gets enforced, but yes, I plan to.
Fully supportive of that.
Thank you.
We discussed this some time ago in workshop, did we not?
Correct.
This is just the formal process?
Correct.
Do we know timing of when these signs will be coming in and going up?
They're already ordered, so preferably before definitely before Party in the Park. I'm not sure that they'll get installed. Now where's the Memorial Day? That's not here.
That's at Lewis Cemetery.
That's at Lewis, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But yes, the plan is to get them installed before Party in the Park.
Are we putting them on both sides, or are we putting one just on the park side that says no parking both sides? 'Cause I think it would be weird to be putting them in our residence yard on Bud. You know, like
Do you
sometimes
have to
sides
put 'em-
specify that no parking either side.
Yeah, that seems unclear to me. Like if you don't notice the other side, how do you know that there's no parking on that side? You know, if you come up to park in front of
Yeah.
your house, you're not gonna necessarily turn around and look the other direction. at a
No, there's
park.
normally, there's two-sided signs, like they are on the other side of the street, but it says, like
The
I've been in
ground
neighborhoods,
stake
yeah.
Isn't in the residential.
Yeah.
I've seen that before too.
Mm.
I'm not sure though, if I was parking on a street on the right-hand side, I'd look at the other side for a no parking sign.
We just have very small front yards, so it seems weird to stick a no parking sign like in the middle of our residence yards. So I just think maybe if we can be intentional about where we're putting them, so maybe more on the property lines between houses maybe, or,
What have we done on Industrial Street? No
Or is it
parking
no
on
park-
either side of the street. That's one that's existing, that we have no parking on either side. Do we have signs on both sides of the street?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know on Main, when we redid that road reconstruction, there's no parking signs in people's yards.
But that's only one side of the street.
Right.
Right.
just a request to be intentional about them.
We can be intentional
Yes.
about that.
All right.
Because they're not always. We've had complaints over by the other park.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure that people are I'm sure that people will be annoyed that now they have to mow around a
Mhm.
sign, that's for sure. I mean, we can certainly, talk to people and see, do you wanna pick where your sign goes? But it's, any change like that, any new annoyance is probably gonna take some adjusting. But,
All right. So I'm looking for a motion to approve ordinance 315, amending chapter 71, parking regulations.
Well, why don't I make that motion, Mayor?
Motion by Councilmember Fay,
Why don't I second that?
second by Councilmember DeLuca. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right. That ends our new business this evening. Next item of business is council reports and other business. Councilmember Cahill, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. I had attended Watershed this past week. Just quite a few projects going on there as normal, just nothing too exciting. That is my report.
All right, thank you.
Would that be me?
Councilmember Fay.
Outside of a pair of workshops and tonight's business meeting, I attended a personnel committee as well as a fire commission meeting this month. Attended council interviews. Congratulations, Connie.
Thank you.
I had my second cookies with council this month. I bested my attendance by 3. Make note that I didn't receive anyone in my first one, so. And I continue with Orono Rotary, spending most of my time preoccupied with Party in the Park. It's going very well. We've been pretty successful in our fundraising. It's June 4th, Saturday. Come on out for a day of music, food, fun. And the first phase of lighting for the picnic shelter in the park was installed last Friday, and that will be covered by the Orono Rotary as part of our proceeds from this particular fundraiser. So that's good. So come join us.
Thank you. Councilmember DeLuca.
As John said, we had a personnel meeting earlier in the month. We talked specifically about insurance issues and are looking at some options for insurance next year to try to get our arms around that. Helped Clarissa with some items on her staffing of her new position, and then did participate also in the workshops and the selection of Connie as the new council member.
Awesome, thank you. And I know Councilmember Francis, you've only been with us an hour. Anything you'd like to say?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I, along with the Orono Rotary and Councilmember Fay, attended the Community Wellness Fair, and that was fun. We did a booth together with the Rotary and talked city. We did talk to a couple people considering joining a commission and just visit a little bit about Party in the Park, so that was fun. We continued to have Party in the Park meetings. We've already had 2, and we're down to getting close. We've had 3 Rotary meetings. Attended the Regional Council of Mayors meeting. We met with Commissioner Strawman from the DNR and Commissioner Kelsler from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and the topic was water is not a problem until it's a problem, and then it can be a big one. And that was interesting with all the watering and the drought, and just learned a lot. Attended Fire Commission. We've all had 2 workshops. The West Hennepin Chamber of Commerce, we had a general meeting and talked about cybersecurity. And we were also able to go and do, as the board members, ribbon cutting for the new business Farmhouse Flipped. So stop by and visit them. Was able to attend Northwest Hennepin League of Municipalities, and from Hennepin County, the Transportation Department, Carla and Chris came out, and we looked at the 2022 through 2026 5-year construction plan. So I will be passing those on to staff. We all attended a special meeting. We have a new council member, super exciting. Was able to attend the weekend open house, visit with a lot of our community partners. Was able to attend Orono Healthy Youth Collaborative, Minnesota Women in City Government. We had City Cleanup Day on Saturday. It was fun to visit with a lot of people who brought stuff in and are cleaning up their yards. We thank you for that. The Senior Center, I'll be meeting with them on Wednesday this week, and just a reminder that they do offer bus options for some of our residents, and lunch and Meals on Wheels, and just general conversations with neighbors and lots of things going on. So, and I know Councilmember Fay already said it, but Party in the Park, 5 to 11 on June 4th. So think good thoughts and send sunshine and lots of people. Let's see. Any other business or reports from staff? Anything we forgot?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm now with being new to the council, I'm going to planning commission meetings? Okay.
But you just have to listen as the rep.
Okay, good.
You're like the
All right.
liaison, like
Yes.
we were looking to Caitlin tonight, like just for feedback, and we'll ask
Mhm.
staff, like what was the general feeling or what was the
Okay,
questions?
and then Highway 12 Safety Coalition,
Yes.
same type of role?
Yes, liaison, communicate, advocate,
Okay.
whatever they need. And
Okay.
then we can help you through all that too, and then Clarissa will, let you know meeting dates and times and.
Okay,
Yeah, and then EDA, Economic Development Authority, you'll be on that as well with all of us.
okay, okay.
And we should be having a meeting in June?
We're trying to, like, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
That's the goal.
I think
The goal is to keep that downtown moving, but we can only do so much. Communication items for the leaflet. Clarissa, do you have enough, or do you have questions?
1, 2, 3. So we'll do an introduction to Councilmember Francis. We'll do another public party in the park. We will mention the Lewis Cemetery Memorial Day activities, the lighting installation. If anybody wanted to round me up a photo of the lighting installation,
that tomorrow.
that would be great.
Oh,
Maybe
I'll do it tonight.
Mood light. It's getting dark. It
Mhm.
might
I think
be
I'll do it tonight.
Good lighting for a night photo. And then I'll mention the Iron Exchange outdoor fire pit area. I'll figure out what to call that. But any other thoughts, ideas?
Do we want to add the Iron Exchange yet, or do we want to wait for them to kind of make it public? He seemed a little stressed tonight.
That's a good idea. Or you want
I
me
mean,
to
just,
check
he
in?
might go back and talk with the landowner, and I
Yeah.
don't know if things will.
I'll
We'll-
check in.
We'll talk to the landowner too.
Okay, yeah, I just don't want to.
I can check in with Todd and see if he wants us to
I hope
plug
it moves forward. I think it'll be an
Mhm.
enhancement. I just don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Right.
Do we want to mention the Boy Scout project? Just give him a little more PR?
Yep. I think we did last week.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
for-
in,
Why didn't I get last week's? Thought that
in the
looked-
last one he was in.
Last
Okay.
newsletter?
Leaflet. The
thing that
email.
comes with the garbage bill?
Nope, so the newsletter
the
comes
sewer
quarterly
bill?
with our utility billing, but the leaflet is an email to go in between that people can sign up for, residents can sign up for.
Oh, I should probably check into that.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
It's great. We've gotten lots of positive feedback about that.
Well, if you mentioned it last week, don't worry about it. I guess
Okay.
I just must have gotten my spam.
May 7th, right? Or May 9th was the Eagle Scout re-presentation.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was talking about in the leaflet though.
Oh.
Yeah.
So just to give him a little PR, but I didn't realize I must not have gotten the last one.
Would there be
So-
any way on the electronic sign to somehow encourage people to sign up for the leaflet? I don't know. I'd have to get creative in wording, but
Yeah, should be easy enough.
just, I think the more people that receive that, the better. Other requests? I already jumped ahead to that, sorry. Anyone else?
We should begin thinking ahead about the next cookies with the council.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Does anybody want to volunteer?
I can do it.
Fabulous.
So Caitlin, you'll work with Clarissa then and
Yep.
set a date so we can get that in the newsletter?
Unless
Also-
Connie wants to take it.
I was gonna say, oh my God.
Oh, my.
You're welcome to, but I don't want to put you on the spot so soon.
Let her get her
Could I
feet
do it
wet.
with you?
Absolutely. I don't see why that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'd
And
be great.
Clarissa, we could
Are
do
you
it-
kidding me? Cookies with council members Caitlin and Connie?
And Clarissa, they're all Cs.
That's a lot of Cs.
See, cute.
Councilmember DeLuca, I think you had something serious?
We thought I did.
Oh.
We could go out another cycle too. It would be my turn then.
Yeah, if
In
you
the
want to get your
fall.
date with staff,
So,
we can get both of
Clarissa, I'm
those.
happy to get that on the calendar so that we have that nailed down. You don't have to worry about that.
And just a reminder for Jill, the newsletter deadline is quickly approaching, so if someone has something, please let Jill and Clarissa know.
Yes, please.
All right, hearing no other requests, I am looking for a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
I think it's yours.
I second.
second by Francis, all in favor.
Aye.
The meeting's adjourned at 8:24.
officially, he always does the adjournment.
The adjournment,
And
Oh,
okay.
And DeLong used to do the second, so.